This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast. I'm thrilled today to be joined by two brilliant and interesting professionals. We're joined today by Mark Bailey and Arden Edelcup. Both are brilliant. They're with a business called Transworld Business Advisors, Deerfield. And I've seen them lately, what they're doing recently. They're sort of what I think of as business consultants, almost investment bankers, business brokers. They'll tell us a lot more. And they're going to talk about the trends we're seeing in business today, size and scale of businesses they're working with, why people do deals, and a lot more. Mark and Arden, do you mind taking a moment to both introduce yourselves? Mark, do you want to start, and then Arden?
Sure. I'm Mark Bailey. I'm the owner and president of Transworld Business Advisors, Deerfield, Illinois.
And I'm Arden Edelcup. I'm the business development manager with Mark over at Transworld Business Advisors in Deerfield. And we're very happy to be with you today, Scott.
Thank you so much. And tell us a little bit about Transworld Business Advisors, Deerfield. Where do you focus? And tell us about the core business and what you do. Do you want to take the lead on that?
Sure. We are a intermediary. We work with owners of businesses that are looking to eventually sell their business. We work with Main Street businesses spanning multiple industries, pretty much industry agnostic. And we also work on lower middle market deals. We exclusively represent sellers, but as the intermediary, it's our job to find the right buyer at the right price for our seller clients and get both sides to the finish line.
And what does the deal environment look like now? And what type of businesses are typically representing? Tell us a little bit about both of those.
Sure. Right now, I mean, it's a very strong seller's market. There are a lot of buyers in the marketplace looking to buy turnkey businesses that obviously are profitable, have good cash flow, where they can walk in on day one and have a turnkey business that they can run. As we all know, a lot of people are, tired of corporate America, want to be entrepreneurs. So that's the kind of buyer that we're looking for. As far as the markets that we work in, again, we are industry agnostic. We see right now some of the hot markets are in auto repair, all services related, heating and air, plumbing, anything that's along the services line. Pet business is very strong. Manufacturing is on fire. So those really are the market sectors in Main Street that are performing very well.
And how much of the businesses are sort of ultimately going to private equity investors, roll-ups, and so forth, versus another entrepreneur that wants to buy into those businesses?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Scott, Main Street businesses usually are bought by either a strategic buy, strategic acquisition, or again, somebody that's just wants to create a job for themselves. So, for example, let's say an auto repair. Maybe this is somebody that's worked in an auto repair business for a long time and says, you know what, I'd really like to be my own boss. So I'm going to, buy an auto repair business because that's what I know. Now on the larger deals, larger deals being about $5, $6, $10 million or more, those are more, certainly can be strategic, but those absolutely bring private equity and small investment groups into the mix. But again, that kind of a deal usually is not under anything under about $5, $10 million minimum.
Thank you. And Arden, take a moment. I've actually, my disclosures, I've known Arden for 40 years, brilliant person and entrepreneur. Arden, take a moment and talk about your journey into this world. You ran a business for a long time. You did so with tremendous vigilance, tremendous intelligence, great discipline. Talk a bit about your journey into this world of being an intermediary into business advising on people helping to sell their businesses.
Sure. I was in a retail environment, a family-owned business, as you know, Scott, for over 50 years. We had a family-owned business in our family, and we decided, my husband wanted to retire last year. Believe it or not, we did not even know that we could sell our business. We figured we're a retail store in a very, post-pandemic environment. Mark, just believe it or not, just came and left an envelope on our door. You're interested in selling, and we sold our business within, 4 months. So we were so impressed with the whole process. It has just been a real joy dealing with other businesses. Mostly the people I deal with are the buyer side of it. And I'm seeing a lot of people that people that want to retire like we did, and a lot of young millennials that are looking to go ahead and, become entrepreneurs. So that is my role with Mark here, is really developing the buyer-seller relationships and taking it to the next level and really developing the relationship part of our business.
Thank you very much. And Mark, when you work with sellers, talk about their motivations. Are many of them just looking to retire? Are they looking for a capital event? Do they have a problem in their business? What's the situation? I'm sure it's very situational, but give us a little bit of a feel for your sellers and what they're sort of looking at, what's driving them.
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. As Arden would attest to, we only will work with the seller if we know that they have a plan for what's after selling their business. Anybody that says, well, if you sell, if I get the right price for my business, I'll sell. We don't work with those. We want people that are looking to sell because they've had enough. They want to retire. They want to go lay on a beach. They're burnt out, obviously, with, the COVID and the labor issues and supply chain. So we always say to a seller, as long as you know what's next, we don't care what that is, then ultimately that's the kind of business owner that we want to work with.
And talk about that, because so many entrepreneurs, they're at some point maybe exhausted from running their business, and they think if they can catch that pot of gold, they will find happiness. And talk about the reality of the emotional makeup of sellers and entrepreneurs, and what that's like dealing with after they sell their business, and where they sort of how that works out and what their plans have to be.
I could probably speak best to that. As far as the after part, you're talking more like what they want to do afterwards, after they sell their business, and what their plans are?
Right. You actually segued right into working with the business that you had used as an intermediary or worked with. But many entrepreneurs are sort of lost after they sell. Can you spend a moment on that, or either you or Mark, on sort of the seller's perspective post deal?
We've been dealing with a lot of sellers that most of them, it seems like the majority of them are in the retirement age. Many of them are the age that they're ready to be grandparents. There seems to be a life event that is causing them to catapult them into that the next phase. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. It seems like it's a journey to get to the place of wanting to sell. And by the time they're there, like my husband, how he felt, by the time he sold, he already is psychologically took him 3-4 years to get there. And he was ready to just take the next step in retirement. And I think that seems to be the majority of the people we're seeing. Mark, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And just to expound upon what Arden's saying, we always tell business owners that it is more important than ever that they run their business as successfully as they can and put the foot on the gas, because a lot of the owners that say, you know what, and now that I know my business is for sale, I'm not going to worry about it.
Exactly.
And then at the end of the process, they don't get as much money because the business has experienced a dip. And ultimately, at the end of due diligence, you've got to provide an updated financial statement. So even though they're ready to retire and we're selling the business for them or trying to sell the business, it is critically important that they continue to run the business until the day it's sold.
But that's such an important point, that they keep the focus on the business while also focus on this. When you do go through this type of process, you ultimately almost have 2 full-time jobs, particularly in a small business, because you're both working with someone like you to run the process, and hopefully you're taking a lot of that burden off them. But also, as important as anything, is they've got to work hard at making sure the business keeps on operating well, because if they don't do so, they're in trouble. They're in trouble in finishing the process at top of everything else.
Yeah, Scott, that's true, but that's really why they're hiring us.
Exactly.
We have a little bit of initial work that we ask them to do, and providing some financials and some information, regarding their business that we may not be aware of, so we can market it properly. But once that's given to us, it's our job to find the buyer and bring it to them and let them continue to run their business. So, and the one thing that I didn't mention, which is the most important component of selling a business, is confidentiality. We go there every step of the way. You don't want anybody to know that you're selling your business until it's sold. Employees, vendors, customers, landlord, that is something that we at Transworld, that's our number one underlying objective, is to protect confidentiality at all costs.
Right. That's the first thing Mark said to me when we sold our business. And it's kind of counterintuitive because you want to tell everybody, like when you're selling your house, you want to tell everybody you're selling, and here you're selling your business and you have to completely pretend that you're not. And the first thing Mark says, every need included, was your business will dip up to half the minute you tell anybody it's for sale. So that's why it's very important when you hire a broker, you basically just keep running the business the best you can. And we just do everything. We vet the buyers. We won't, we don't want to waste their time with anybody or anything because they have to keep the business going. And I know that was important for Earl and I as well, with running Ross's. And it's challenging because you're kind of at the point where you're a little checked out and you don't want to, but it's more, you have to. You just have to.
100%. No, just absolutely critical. And talk about when you see pricing today, Mark or Arden, what do multiples look like? What does pricing look like? Or is every single deal very unique? How does that look? And has pricing been impacted by the price of debt, the cost of capital? Talk to us a little bit about pricing, what things are looking like in the market.
Yeah, and that's another great question, Scott. Every deal is different. Because of Transworld's reach, we have got access to a lot of proprietary data based on industry, based on, everything comes down to data. What other businesses have sold for that are comparable to the sellers that we're representing? There's multiple valuation methods, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on that. But mostly it's either seller discretionary earnings or EBITDA or percentage of sales on the business. But what we're finding more and more is that, a lot of the deals, if not, almost all the deals we do require some seller financing. And because interest rates are high, because SBA has kind of cracked down a little bit more on what they're willing to lend to, there is absolutely onus put back on the seller to carry some seller financing, which, is good for the seller in the fact that it mitigates their capital gains. They actually get more money over the life of the deal because they're getting interest monthly, for 36 months, something, to that effect. So seller financing is a key component and definitely attracts more buyers when you're open to seller financing.
Thank you. And then a final question, Mark and Arden, if people want to talk to you about their business, they want to meet you, what's the best way for them to learn about Transworld Business Advisors Deerfield or about Mark Bailey or Arden Edelcup? What's the best way to learn about you folks?
Well, basically, we have, as you know, we are really expanding our social media presence because, to my experience, I didn't even realize there was local business brokers that would do this for us. So we do it via LinkedIn, Facebook. We actually have a YouTube channel. We have TikTok, but mostly people go on our website, Transworld Business Advisors in Deerfield, and they can look at all of our listings if they're looking to buy, or they could certainly just give us a call. And our website. Can we give you the website? TransworldBusinessAdvisors.com or Tworld. Tworld.com/Deerfield. That gives all the specific information. And of course, they could always call us directly. And I think most of the people we get just find us and give us a call.
And just one more thing, Scott, along those lines. A lot of times, we just do valuations for customers.
Yes.
That's a big part of what we do. It's a roadmap. And a lot of times a seller has no idea what their business is worth. And we may not represent them, and they may not be ready to sell their business, but our valuation services give them a substantiation of what, their asking price is. So for any business owner that's out there that wants to say, what, I think I might want to sell my business, and the best time to sell a business is when you don't have to. Hey, I want to know what my business is worth. They can contact us, and we can certainly provide what we call a business owner's valuation is a great first step.
And that seems to be a big trend, by the way, Scott. More and more since I've joined Mark, we continuously are getting calls, people that are not quite ready. And that's the first question we ask them, why now? Why you want to sell now? And a lot of them aren't ready, but they have no idea what their business is worth, which is pretty shocking. So we have been doing many, right, Mark? It seems like a lot more business valuations.
Correct.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of just valuations for people that just want to know the value of what their business is worth. A real good, solid valuation.
Thank you very, very much. Mark and Arden, a pleasure to visit with you. I love the spot that you fill in the market. I see the sort of businesses you're selling, just fantastic. And thank you for joining us on the Becker Private Equity Podcast. A pleasure to visit with you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Scott.
Take care. Thank you so much, Scott. Talk soon.